before we start, I'm jealous of the other group. I can hear them, clapping and shouting. So how about we raise our voices so they come here? You want to try that? Yeah? Woo! Come on, come on, yes! I love that. See, now they're coming. Okay, I don't know if you had these kind of moments where a small thing, you do a small thing, and then it makes a big impact. And in your mind, you're like, duh, that's a very basic thing. Like you come up with a basic idea. You see a basic observation, right? And suddenly, either it goes viral or it makes a big impact, right? Yeah, you're with me? Yeah, I want to hear you. Yeah. Okay, I had one of these moments 2 months ago. I was speaking at a conference about design. And I just told them something that I called the from to journey. And when they asked me, what's the from to journey? I said, well, it's from to. Right? From to. And it was very basic. The idea is every time you solve a problem, you take people from to. Right? From struggle to triumph. From this X to this Y. Right? And I didn't expect, like that was a ta-da, like a very basic moment. And I didn't expect that it will create a big impact. Suddenly, people started sharing on LinkedIn this from to, right? And this is me talking in the conference. And then suddenly, they shared with me an ad. That was last week by ING Amsterdam. They stole my idea from to. They didn't actually. But that's because it's not even my idea. That's how we think as human beings, right? Every time we want to move people from to. Make sense? Yeah, that's Paki, by the way. She's the chief innovation officer at IKEA. Just yesterday, she sent me from to, you can see it here. I'm using your lessons at Forbes. And I told her, Paki, what are you talking about? This is not even a lesson. That's basic lesson from to. So it's interesting because that's how we function. And just a couple of days ago, I was stuck in Dubai. I live in Dubai. And I was stuck in the flood. And I want to thank RCE and SFL for bringing me here no matter what. And I moved from being literally stuck in the flood, right, to having wine tasting with the Mats. Do you know the Mats? Right? Yeah, well, here we have Matt's wife. I hope she's not here. She's going to kill me for saying this. We have Matt Kibbe. We have Matt the creative. We have Matt, I'm serious. We have Matt the photographer. And I just learned that Isadora's middle name is Matt. I'm joking. I'm joking. All right. So it's interesting because that's how art works, right? Art is that process from the marble to David. Yet, we have a big problem. And the problem is that now we have a big competitor, and it's called artificial intelligence. You see our artist here, how much time she's taking to draw this painting? In one click, AI can do it. And just have a look at this slide. It's scary, right? I love technology, but it's scary. And people tell me all the time, what are we going to do? AI is taking our job. If you're a writer, ChatGPT can move you from context to content. DALL-E Midjourney can move you from text to image. And someone asked a question today about AI. You have filmmakers, Sora. You have developers and games. Now you have something called Genie by Google, that in one click, you turn an image into a game. And we're going to keep on seeing from better X to better Y. From better X to better Y. So what makes us unique? If AI is taking the doing. Here's what I learned. What makes us unique, and I want you to take a big picture of that when I show you, is not the doing. What makes us unique? And it's not even thinking. It's not even thinking. What makes us unique is thinking about thinking. That is what makes us unique. I'm serious. Think about it. Because now AI, you can argue that they're doing the thinking. Now it's not doing it, right? But what makes us really unique is our ability to initiate thinking, to reflect on this thinking, and then to influence people who we want to influence. And I call that process reflective intelligence as opposed to artificial intelligence, right? And that is an art form as well as a science, which I'm going to show you today. And it's the art of looking inward, thinking about your thinking, but it's not enough. You have to influence outward. So you know the purpose of art is really contemplation. You look at a painting and you reflect. But that's a different process. That's reflective intelligence, which means you reflect and you influence. You influence so that people will choose you, will choose your ideas. Make sense? Yeah? I want to hear you guys. Yeah? Yes, that's it. Okay. So I want to take you from a journey from reflection to influence. And I want to invite you to my home with my mom, who's a couple of years ago, the doctor told her, "You're not allowed to smoke anymore, that's it." And she's a heavy smoker. But she's a very strong and committed lady. She said, "I'm not going to smoke anymore. I love life." And she stopped smoking. Really? And we celebrated that. But then, recently, I learned that she's sneaking a cigarette or two now and then, you know? So I said to myself, I'm the persuader. I'm going to persuade her to stop smoking. So I wore my rational hat on, and I gave her all the best rational argument on how to stop smoking. She's now 75 years old. Don't tell her I told you. But, you know, so she's not allowed to smoke. So anyway, the rational argument boiled down to, "Mom, smoking is not good for you." She's like, "Son, I'm too old to care about what's good for me." I was like, I know. Don't use reason. Use emotions. Yeah. So I gave her great emotional argument. I told her, "Mom, don't you want to live longer to play with my daughter?" And she's like, "Sweetie, I'm playing with her. A cigarette or two won't kill me." I'm like, please raise your hand if you've ever failed at persuading someone. Yes, me too. I'm going to raise both hands. Right? I failed miserably. And it's hard. It's hard to persuade people. I know. That's Mom's voice. It's hard to persuade people, but imagine how hard it is to persuade someone who think they have nothing to lose. Right? That's my mom. She thinks she has nothing to lose. She's too old to care. And even worse, I had nothing to offer her. So I failed miserably. So you can't do it unless you learn how to use the science of ethical persuasion. Who knows anything about this science other than my students here? Okay. Well, it's very simple. It's the science of making decisions. It's the science of designing decisions that creates win-win outcome. Okay, so it's behavioral science. It's how you make people say yes to you. Do you want to make people say yes to you? Yes? You want to make a proposal and people say, "Yes, I want your proposal," right? So that's the science. And the best thing is you don't have to be a scientist to learn how to use this science. Now, the godfather of that science is Dr. Robert Cialdini. Anyone read his books, Influence and Persuasion? Yeah, I love that. This is considered the #1 business book of all time. And I was fortunate to be coached under Dr. Cialdini, and I'm one of the 20 people in the world certified to coach his principle and his method. And in his training, now in his books, He laid down the 7 principles of persuasion. I'm sure you've used some of them somehow. Right? Reciprocity, liking, unity, social proof, authority, consistency, scarcity. I'll give you an example. Annie, if Annie invites me to her birthday, I will feel more inclined to invite her to my birthday. Right? That's the principle of reciprocity. She initiated that gift, come to my birthday, I will feel more inclined to invite her to mine. Now we have free will. I don't have to invite her to mine, right? But this means that the principle also works. Why? Because I'm going to break my relationship with Annie. Think about liking. I'm not going to go through all of them, but just to give you an idea. Think about liking. If you don't like me now as a speaker, at least a little bit, you will not listen to me. You'll be on your phones. And if I don't like you, I don't want to give this talk. Same for business, same for life, same for everything. Unity. Georgie talked about Nazi Germany. Well, that was a principle used by Nazi Germany to bring people together, right? To unite under evil purposes. So the principle of persuasion can be used for good and for evil, and that's why we want to do it ethically. Now, here's something that Dr. Cialdini revealed with us that is not just good for persuasion, but for solving problems. And I'm going to show you how to link that to art. Here's the framework. And I want you to think about it this way. Anytime you want to persuade someone to say yes to you, you have to build a relationship with them. If you don't have a relationship with someone, you cannot persuade them. And in this case, you have to activate the principle of reciprocity, liking, unity. So next time you want to persuade someone to accept your proposal, your idea, your fundraising, what have you, make sure that you give them something, that they like you, and that you activate some kind of a shared values with them. Otherwise, they won't be persuaded. You have to build a relationship with them. Now, that's one. But two, people are uncertain about you. They don't know if you're good enough, right? And this is where you activate the principle of social proof and authority. Do you see that? So I might have a good relationship with you, but if I don't know that you're skilled enough, I'm not going to work with you. So I need to see your authority. I need to see that people say good things about you. That's why we ask for recommendation letter. Make sense? Now, here's the trick. You might have a good relationship with someone. They're certain about you, but they still have one problem. I'm not motivated to act now. I'm not motivated to invest in you right now. And so this is where you activate the principle of scarcity and consistency. Now, I know they sound a bit abstract now, but I'm going to make it simple. So what does that have to do with art? Imagine if we can actually use the same persuasion model on art. Imagine, instead of just looking at a painting or a sculpture and reflecting on it, imagine we do that, and you don't have to be an artist, right, or a connoisseur. You just look at the art, you see which principle it's activating, and then you use that reflection to influence other people. Sounds good? Yeah? Let me show you a concrete example. By the way, that's a coincidence. I picked the Mother of Georgia before knowing that SFL will have that on their shirt. So that's so cool. Mother of Georgia, anyone seen it live? Yeah. Now, as an artist or a connoisseur or lover of art, you can criticize it, you can praise it. That's irrelevant. Here's what you can do. The first thing, when you look at this sculpture, you say, oh, well, she's a mom, she's a mother. So immediately you like her, right? We tend to like mothers. So the sculpture, whether we consciously or not, it's activating the principle of liking. And then you look at her dress and you see, ooh, actually there's a sense of unity. The dress is a Georgian traditional dress. So it's a reminder of the shared values. Do you see that? But here's the magic. In one hand, I'm giving you reciprocity. I'm inviting you to my home as a friend. I'm giving you a bowl of wine. I have an open arms as Georgian. Welcome to Georgia. But if you come as a foe, if you come as an enemy, I have my sword ready for you. Do you see that? So that's the principle of authority activated. And even more, all of this is creating consistency because of the way it's placed and the dominant figure of the sculpture. Now it's a reminder that Georgian people are consistent in terms of their freedom, their protection, and their tradition. Do you see that? So next time you have a meeting, for example, with a Georgian, here's what you do. You study something like that, a piece of art, and then before you get down to business, you explore what you just learned from that piece of art. And that's how you build a connection with them. You see, you say, instead of starting with a business, you say, oh, by the way, I really love how you have these two things. You're hospital for friends, and you're protective against enemies. Make sense? And even now, with what's happening, I know there are other parties who probably supporting Russia. We can fight them, we can insult them, or we can understand how the science works and use it to persuade them. Use it to remind them that we share common values. Make sense? Okay, here's another example. Do you like it so far? Make sense to you? Yeah? Okay, I wanna hear from you just to see that. Okay, good. Awesome. Okay, here's an example from my favorite novel, Atlas Shrugged. Who read Atlas Shrugged? I want to show you some magic. I read Atlas Shrugged for 12 times. And the last time I read it with the lens of persuasion to understand how Ayn Rand was using the principle of persuasion. I don't know if intentionally or not. But here's a beautiful example. In one of my favorite scenes, which is the first time Hank Rearden and Francisco d'Ancona meet. I'm not going to spoil it for those who didn't read it. Here's the scene. Hank Rearden standing at his balcony, looking and reflecting on the darkness outside of his window. He doesn't want to talk to Francisco. He doesn't want to have a chat with him. Why? Because Francisco is a playboy. Because Francisco has a bad reputation. He's throwing all his money. And he told his wife, don't bring that. I don't want to talk to him. So if you're Francisco, what do? You come, hello, Mr. Rearden, can I have a chat with you? You lost. Here's what Francisco did. He approaches Rearden without looking at him. Francisco looks at the darkness where Rearden was looking, and this is what he says. This is when one should appreciate the meaning of being a man. He reflected on what Rearden was reflecting on. And Rearden didn't know what to say. He was shocked. And then he looked at Francisco, and here's what he tells him. He said, wow, you just told me exactly what I was thinking of, only I didn't have the words for it. I didn't have the words for it. Which means what? Which means Francisco gave him a gift, the most precious gift ever, which is the gift of words. You see? So reciprocity works on words, and that's why we're studying philosophy and intellectual ideas, because that could be the greatest gift you give someone. And the proof of that is that later on, Rearden tells Francisco, what's your purpose? Like, why are you talking to me all the time? And Francisco says, I'm giving you the words you need for the time you will need them. That's amazing. Another example, quick one. I mean, just read this. Just read this and think about how do you pronounce your name. Look how she's describing it. Francisco, pronounced his name as if he wished his listener to be struck on the face and be knighted by the sound of it. What? I have a client. He's a CEO of a huge company. I'm going to call him Patrick. And this is how he introduced himself. Hello, my name is Patrick. I'm like, what? My name is Patrick. I'm like, say it, man. Pronounce your name. My name is Patrick. My name is Leopold. You see? So in this passage, she's showing you, you don't have to like her or approve her whole philosophy. In one passage, she's giving you a lesson of authority, how to pronounce your name, right? And at the same time, you can appreciate the art because this is a signature of Ayn Rand. It's scarcity. No one describes how you pronounce your name like this. It's scarce, Ayn Rand. And at the same time, art is consistent, right? Every time you read anything about Francisco, it's consistent with this one line. Make sense? Now, I want you to take a picture of this. And after the session, I'm writing an article with some videos. I want to explore with you, how do you think the Trojan horse activates which principle? So you have 7 principles. Which one do you think the Trojan horse activates? I'm going to give you some time to take a picture, and that would be our discussion outside. All right. Now, I don't like to fail. I failed so many times in my life. I don't like to fail. Let's go back to my mom. Right? If you think about it, so you have relationship, uncertainty, motivation. If you think about it, I have a great relationship with my mom. She's my mom, right? She's certain about me, she trusts me, she knows me, hopefully. What she lacks to stop smoking is motivation. You see? And I want you to think about these categories. Every time you have a problem, before you try solving the problem, think, which category does it fit? Is it a problem of relationship, of certainty, or of motivation? So that's my problem, the problem of my mom. Why? Because she thinks she has nothing to lose. So here's what I did. I showed her this picture. And I want you to tell me, how can this picture motivate her and persuade her to stop smoking? I'll give you the context, and I want to hear from you. Here's the context. For the past 40 years, every time I visit my mom and I leave her house, she goes to her balcony, she waves goodbye to me, and she keeps on watching over me until I'm out of her sight. Every single time, no matter the weather, no matter the mood, no matter our relationship, it's so annoying that I had to take her picture, right? Every time she does it, the same behavior. Now the question is, why would this picture help her stop smoking? Please. Can we give her the mic? Wait, say it again. I love that.
My grandmother is doing the same thing because she thinks that this is the last time she sees it.
Ooh.
That's why she wants to take this moment and to see this.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anyone?
I think that your motivation and her motivation also is based that as much as possible photos he wants to take. So it means that as much as it's possible, she lives.
I like that. Thank you so much. And by the way, there's no right and wrong here, but I'll show you what I did. But yeah, anyone else? Yes, please. By the way, this group here is more active. What's wrong, guys? Go ahead.
I think you just made a point about consistency, that how as she goes out to see you consistently every time, you just told her, why can't you consistently stop smoking?
Oh, what's your name? Paula. Okay. Anyone from this group? I want to hear from you. Really? No ideas? Yes.
Maybe she was thinking that if she keeps smoking, her hair will lose its fat and won't be able to think.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. So, anyone else? Yeah, yeah.
The first thing I think of with Slavic countries, especially balconies, are those
places where you either monitor your neighbors or you go to take a smoke.
Mm-hmm.
And I would rather see my mom maybe defensively than casually smoking.
Yeah.
So not really caring about anything and just worrying for her health. So
I love that.
For me, it's a simple, chatting and having a smoke together or being on your own and smoking.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you. So here's the thing. All of these can work. There's no right and wrong, right? And again, when we talk about persuasion, it's science, not science fiction. So it doesn't mean whatever I did is going to work for you. But here's what I did. Someone else? Yeah.
And I think you use this against smoking. Like, if you want to make sure I'm safe, like, if something happens to you, there's not going to be anyone else to do that.
Yeah.
So as long as you can do that, I mean,
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
So you should stop smoking so you can do that as long as possible.
Yeah. Okay, notice that in all of these answers, you're either giving rational arguments or emotional arguments, which is good. I want to show you how to activate the science of persuasion. Here's what I did. I invited a group of friends and family to my home. And I made mom do her favorite dish. And then I showed them the picture, told them the story, and they were fascinated. And my mom was like, and then I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, are you still committed to watch over me, even now at my age? And she said, of course, yes. And I'm like, Mom, do you think it takes a person of integrity to commit to such a long-term goal? And she said, yes, of course. It's all about integrity. I was like, Mom, are you a person of integrity? Shut up, you little boy. Of course I am a person of integrity. It's all I've got. You see that? Now I have something to trigger. And so then I told her, I'm just asking because years ago you committed to stop smoking. I was wondering if now you still have the integrity to stay true to your words. What do you think she said? What do you think she said? Yes? Well, she didn't just say yes. She had to say yes. She had to say yes. Why? Because, as you said, I triggered the principle of consistency, which states that people are more likely to stay true to what they previously said or done. Do you see that? So for her to say no would have been a breach of her integrity. Do you see it? Yeah? And that is how, and I'm going to show you the breakdown of it so you can use it in your life. That is how you can use art, visuals, movies, what have you, and combine it with persuasion so you can make people say yes to you. Make sense? So here's what I did, the breakdown. Okay. The first thing is reflect on daily basis on anything, whether it's art, whether it's movies, whether it's novels, what have you. Reflect, because when you reflect for no purpose, right? So when I reflected on this image, on this picture, I wasn't pursuing mine to stop smoking. I was just reflecting on this image. So reflect on anything and write the lesson that you're learning from it. Because that's reflective intelligence. It will train your mind to see things that others can't see. So that's the first one. The second is, make people aware of their previous commitment. When you're trying to influence people, remind them, by the way, on your website you say that you're committed to promoting such and such. Are you still committed to that? Because your action doesn't show it. Do you see that? So and even it doesn't have to be in business or, it can be in your life. When you're in a relationship with someone, remind your partner of their commitment to take care of you, to love you, to befriend you. See that? The third is never ask for the big ask in the beginning. And again, I want you to think, all of you, when you're presenting your project, never go and say, this is my project and I'm looking for fundraising, for example. Always harness tiny yeses. harness these small yeses. Make people, you remember what I did with my mom. I made her say, yes, I'm committed to watch over you, right? Yes, it takes integrity. Yes, I'm a person of integrity. Yes, I'm going to stop smoking. You see? So take people in that journey, ask them question. Is that a pain of yours? Is that a struggle of yours? Is that a problem that you're facing? They're saying yes, 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 yes. And then you reach your solution, you say, oh, therefore you need my solution. You've already made a commitment. You said yes. Make sense? Thank you. And here's the last one, which is very powerful. Secure commitments in public. And that's why I invited friends and family, right? Because for mom to start smoking again, she has to find new friends and family members, right? Because I made her commit in public. So these are the 4 things. You can take a picture of them so you can remember them. Is it helpful? Yeah? Okay, awesome. I'm gonna take less than 5 minutes, 3 minutes for a question, and then I still have one more thing I wanna share with you that I can't afford you leave today without knowing it. Okay? All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, question before I close. Yes, go ahead. Here.
Thank you for your
Sure.
It's a very funny question.
No, that's a good question. No, I made her say yes.
Apparently she said yes, not because she
Yeah.
but because you made her say yes.
Okay, great question. So the question is, did my mom stop smoking because I made her say yes or because she actually recognized it, basically? So here's the thing. Again, it's about context. My mom thinks she has nothing to lose. She's old, and she said, I just want to enjoy smoking. So if she has nothing to lose, I had to find something that she forgot that she could lose. What's that something? Exactly, integrity, you see? So I had to remind her that you're a person of integrity, you've committed to me all these years, stick to it. And I'm doing it, and that's ethical persuasion because I'm doing it for her benefit. You see that?
But how do you make her say that integrity is so natural? How do you make her
How do I change her mind? Okay, again, great question. So here's the thing that happens a lot with us, especially as objectivists and libertarian and all of that. You have to start recognizing that human beings are not rational people. I know this sounds shocking. Humans are not rational. And that's why Ayn Rand was very specific. She said, rationality is an achievement. You see, to be rational, you have to learn the method of thinking, and it's an achievement. So people are not rational. If I want to persuade you, reason is not the only way I have to do it, at least not in the beginning. So I have to find another way to bring you to my side, and then now that you're here in this room, I can share with you, I can go into the details. You see? So that's the process. Always think in phases. Think like an editor or a writer. Think in phases. Don't just try to convince people of everything with your rationality. I hope that answers you. Any other question? Yes, please.
Someone involved in political activism and campaigning, the people we're often trying to convince are politicians and people in power who typically do not have the same sort of integrity that I suspect your mother has. How do we go about convincing people who do not have integrity or consistency and are okay with that?
Excellent question. I love it. You have to remember the framework that I shared. Relationship, uncertainty, and motivation. So what you need to do, again, it's contextual, is whoever you're trying to persuade, you have to see the problem is where. Is it a problem of relationship or uncertainty? So consistency is not always the solution. It was the solution in my case. So you have, for example, in politicians, often the problem lies in relationship and uncertainty, right? relationship, most politicians don't know how to build a relationship, for example, or if you're an activist, we focus on the content, too much on the content, too little on connecting with people. So you need to build the relationship, and you need to establish your authority. You see, you need to show that you're a person of credibility, and so many other people are saying good things about you. You see, so think about the categories. Okay, one last question. Yeah, before I just have 1 minute to end. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. So seeing as you just said that you don't deal exclusively with the people you persuade in the terms of reason, how would you differentiate between this method of persuasion you're presenting and manipulation?
Excellent question. And that's why I said persuasion can be, it's about intent. It can be ethical and not ethical. I'll give you very quickly 3 things that make persuasion ethical. Quickly. The first one, it has to be factual, based on truth, objective, right? The second thing is it has to be natural in the sense that I'm not exaggerating. So for example, if I'm doing a workshop and I still have 10 seats left, and I still have 5 seats left, I'm exaggerating it, so it's not natural. I'm manipulating you, so you come. I'm using the principle of scarcity, you see? So it has to be, 1, factual, it has to be natural, and the third, it has to be beneficial. Whomever you're trying to persuade, it has to be a win-win outcome. You have to win from the persuasion, and I have to win, you see? And that's how it stops being manipulated. Okay, I want to thank you so much, but before I give the floor, I want to celebrate a person today. He's a very special person who's with us today. And just for you to know the context, a couple of years ago, I was booked for an event that is very important for me. And 2 days before the event, a tragic thing happened. My father passed away in my hands. And it was a tragedy, and I said, I'm not gonna go and do the presentation. That's it, it's in 2 days. And then Robert Bagley, come on, Robert, stand up. He stepped up and he told me, yeah, thank you. Wait until you hear what he told me. He said, Leo, use the pain. You're in pain now, you're grieving. Use the pain and go show your audience that your commitment is stronger than challenges. So thank you, Robert. And I want to thank everyone here, SFL and RC, for being so committed to freedom. Thank you. Let us use the pain and the joy to celebrate life. Thank you so much. Thank you.